2 months ago, we made one of the hardest decisions of our lives. We shut down our multi-million-dollar course business with 15,000 customers and walked away from everything we'd built in the last 10 years. Today, we're finally telling the full story of why. And I have a feeling some of you may disagree with us. Look, this isn't just another episode about changing algorithms or industry trends. It's about knowing when to walk away from a business model that no longer excites you, even if it's still making money, to pursue something that you're truly passionate about. In this episode, we pull back the curtain on the exact moment we knew it was time to make this massive change, and what it felt like to tell our entire team that they no longer had jobs. We'll also talk about what we could or perhaps should have done differently. Plus, we'll reveal what's next for Authority Hacker and why it's getting us more fired up than anything we've done before. And we'll also reveal our plans for transforming this podcast, including new formats, frequency, and the types of guests and topics you can expect going forward. So whether you've been following us since the beginning in 2014, or this is your very first episode, today marks the beginning of an entirely new chapter for Authority Hacker. And trust us, you're going to want to be along for this ride. So Gail, a few months ago, we had a team, we had a number of products which we were selling, we had 15,000 paying customers and a multi-million-dollar business. Fast forward to today, we're in the second half of February 2025, and all of that is gone. So what the hell just happened?
What happened is the way we were making money is teaching people how to build content websites. Like, in essence, that was really it. Like, you could use what we teach for other things, and I'm not saying all SEO is dead, so before people jump in the comments the thing is, we were teaching how to build content websites, and really
primarily affiliate websites,
Yeah, the main way to make money was to rank on Google, get people to get to your website, and they're at the point in their customer journey where they're about to buy the product, they read your review, which hopefully is good, they click on the link, and you get a commission. We also were talking about ads. Anyway, you had to build informational content to make your site more authoritative, so ads was kind of like a good synergetic way of making money, but that was kind of like the bulk of it, right? And that model straight up doesn't even work anymore. Even Forbes is struggling at this point running this. So it's like, this model has struggled first because big publishers entered. So for a long time, like when we started, there was no big publisher doing these kind of reviews, right? And then it was free for all. Lots of money has been made at that point by us, by other people. It was easy. And so that's when we're like, well, that's a great predictable business model. We'll show how we do that to people. And that's when we were really excited by that model. It felt like you were very likely to succeed. And the outcome was not like you build a $1 billion startup, but you could make yourself a very good life from this. And it was pretty fun, actually, if you were getting into this niche. Then the big publishers came in. It became a lot more competitive. Google core updates started checking things up, like literally like 4 or 5 years ago. And now we're essentially like in the realm of AI where like straight up AI search engines are better and Google's anyway ranking Reddit for all these queries and all these big sites and small sites are almost inexistent. So this business model was kind of dying. Now, I understand a lot of this community has shifted towards getting their traffic from social media, from Pinterest, etc. But I'll be straight up, I think they're spamming. I think this is spam. That's what they're doing. You know, it's like generating images or stealing them from other people.
Just as a counter argument, from a certain angle, was the SEO play not also kind of spamming?
It could be
the way it was being done.
It could be, but if you did it properly, which a lot of people did, right? A lot of legit sites got hit, like HouseFresh, RetroDodo,
etc. They came back though, HouseFresh.
They came back, but they came back in a ranking, but probably not in the clicks, because there's so many AI overviews over. Even if you rank at the same position, you get less traffic now. The business model itself may not be viable, even though their rankings may be back somehow. It's like, the problem is like, this could be done properly, this could be done in a legit way. That's why Forbes did it, and that's why all these big guys did it, because it was legit enough that a big business could be doing that and not be seen as a spammer. Whereas spamming AI images on Pinterest and, doing all the social media stuff that people are doing to get traffic today, you will not see big publications do that at a high scale, because the truth is a lot of it is quite spammy and not great. And in general, people don't want to read blogs anymore. I feel like blogs are kind of over at this point. Social media in that time has taken over completely the way we consume content. Most of my time on my phone is not reading blogs, but actually using TikTok, YouTube, whatever. And that's just the way it was going.
When was the last time you made a buying decision about a product based on an affiliate website, a blog that you had read?
Never. It's like in the last year, I've been using AI really. Like I've been using AI search to summarize the web for me because I can't be bothered reading the websites. And then if I...
To be fair, you're probably a little bit ahead of the curve compared to the general population at least, but I think that's indicative of the direction of travel this is going, right?
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, but yeah, it's like this business model has lasted for a very long time. We're glad it lasted that long. It was an eternity in the tech landscape. But I think it's time to call it and be like, look, this is over. And that's what we did here. So that's why it was a little bit brutal. It really is hard to tell when it's the end of these things because obviously there has been like ups and downs in this industry before. But, you know, Panda, Penguin, like the first Medic update, all that stuff. It was pretty big, but the industry came back. And so like, a lot of people will be like, oh, why didn't you shut down your course basically after HCU, which is kind of like the big update that started all that's happening right now. And the reason is because we had to see what was going to happen. It's quite easy to also call it early and then the industry comes back and you're like, oh shit, you know? And that can happen. We were quite honest with the audience about the situation. I mean, we had a whole news channel that was basically shitting on Google every week. That was the news channel, right? And people loved it. But eventually we had to
stopped that
it,
as well though, right? We stopped the news channel.
Yeah, because there's no point cheating on Google anymore because it's like it's not really relevant for our business model anymore. We were doing that to grow our audience, right? Makes sense. We were selling a course that grew the audience. People would potentially buy the course. Hopefully the industry would recover at that point when we started it and we would use that audience to promote what we're selling. We don't believe that's going to recover what we were doing at least anymore. And therefore, there's no point running it in the current state of things, basically. And there's probably more important things to work on, such as having a product, for example, you know. So that's why the news channel has stopped, and that's how we felt. And so we've been honest with the audience. We kept it going long enough to see that to essentially decide that this is not going to come back anymore. This is not like the other times, and we didn't want to sell something that doesn't work to people. Some people still do, right? I mean, Income School is still online. Adam and Froy is still selling his courses, and you know, people do that. Matt Diggity did shut down his course shortly after ours. Like he announced the kind of like disclaimer before us. We had a disclaimer on our sales page for a while as well. He announced it before us. We shut down before, but he shut down just after as well. So it's like,
I think we were on the same race to see who would blink first type thing.
Yeah,
there.
But I like it because we're kind of like on the same wavelength when it comes to like how to treat the audience. And it's like I have a lot of respect for Matt for that. But like we could still have made money pushing that narrative. People are still buying courses. We could just have said, hey, make your site with AI, spam all of that, etc. Like, yeah, we would have made millions of dollars selling that. Some people do, but it just didn't feel right with what we believe in personally and what we want to do. And I think where we are at as people, like it's like I'm a bit tired of like the shitty, spammy hacks, etc. Like I actually want to build cool, real stuff.
And that's not a new thing, right? It's been a few years that we've kind of our interest has been on the decline a little bit for this type of business model, right?
Yeah, it's like as it became more difficult. Basically, we started, it was like really easy and you'd get lots of results with a little effort. And so like we kind of got used to that. And as time passed, there's kind of been an inflation of effort needed. Like you need to update your content more often. You need to, like the content itself needs to be much more researched and much more worked on and so on. And the result was essentially declining. And so like, it just didn't feel as good as it did. And I think as people, we grew up as well. We ran a real business where we had this course business. And it's like we actually enjoyed it more than running small affiliate sites, which is where we started, which is where we make, you know, our first multiple 6-7 figures, whatever. And then after that, we kind of went to the next thing. And that's kind of like what kept our attention. It's like we actually had a fun business running on the course side, and it's like we could do a lot of like more advanced things like running paid ads, like having affiliates, like doing product launches and so on, and that kept our interest going. But the business model underlying, it wasn't super interesting. And I think it's the case for a lot of people who teach this stuff, to be honest. Let's be honest.
Absolutely. And there was one moment right at the end of November last year when it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back moment for us. You came over to Scotland for a week or so, and we spent the entire week kind of planning how we were going to get out of this hole, what we were going to do next, like how we were going to basically make what we had work. And then late on Friday afternoon, it was
on
just
the last
like
day or something.
the last day when we had this like plan for how we were going to approach it in 2025 and what we're going to do and all that. It was just like, actually, this is probably not going to work.
Yeah.
And then I think we both probably had that feeling inside that, you know, maybe it's time to move on from this and do something else. But I don't know if we necessarily were like willing to admit it until that point. But then once we hit that point, it was like it all came out and we're like, actually,
After spending a week trying to solve a problem, and like you have solutions, but they're not solutions that feel good or you're necessarily excited about.
Yeah.
And also, like the timelines were quite unrealistic. The team wanted to hit the break-even point like a month from now, a month and a half from now,
in March or April,
with like a new business model or something. And it's like it would be challenging with all the salaries we had and all that stuff at the time. And it just felt like that would literally not get us any further. That would just pay for the bills at that point, and that would be incredibly difficult. And we were like, well, we don't have to decide anything actually. All we have to do is just let go of a bunch of stuff, and that's what we did.
So then that was the Friday, and then the next Monday, which I think was like the 1st or the 2nd of December 2024, we had a big team meeting, got all the staff together, and basically told them, you no longer have jobs, and we're shutting everything down. How did that feel?
I mean, it felt bad at the time. I think we felt, but like the thing is, like now, pretty much every single team member has found a job without any issue. So I'm like, actually, we might even have been holding them back in a way. They were very good, and I miss it. Like, for example, this podcast, I'm gonna edit it. Like that's how little help we have right now. But I kind of want it. I want to jump back into the.
Is that a bit
things.
Scary?
No,
it's scary for me.
No, I've been doing the shorts since December. Like now there's like way more shorts going out. By the way, if you're interested in the podcast but you don't have time to listen all the time, you can subscribe on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube. And we basically pick the best moments as shorts, and so you'll be able to get that without necessarily watching the whole episode. I feel like I was running a business, and we were doing a lot of decisions, but not a lot of things. And now I've jumped back into doing things, and I realize how much better we could do things by actually doing them myself. It's like I'm still pretty crafty and good at doing this stuff, and we gave these things to basically other people. They were good, but by losing control, I was also not taking as much action on them. And now I can feel like if you go check the podcast pages, they've already been rebranded. Didn't take long, and it probably was done better than if I gave that task to someone else.
I think there's a certain amount of inertia that happens after you've been running a business for 10 years. There's certain processes just like, oh, well, we always do it like that. That's how it's done. But it's only when you then have to do it yourself and really look at it in detail that you then start questioning everything, really. And I think that's what process we're going through right now.
Pretty much. But like, I think we should talk about how it felt to our customers. We had 15,000 customers ish at the time. And we had to tell them that we're shutting down everything.
I'll be honest with you. I was shitting it announcing this to everyone. Like, I thought everyone was going to be furious and like, how could you abandon us and all that? And, not going to lie, a couple of people did feel that way. But, and, like some people had more legitimate reasons to feel that way than others. But there were a surprising amount of people from 2016, 2017 that when we first started, we probably haven't spoken to in 5 or 6 years or heard from, that sort of came out of the woodwork and had some nice things to say. And there's a lot of people, man. I mean, if we were collecting testimonials, like that was a good time to do it, because like there's so many people had such nice things to say about like what they'd been able to do from our courses and all this stuff. It was great. So that definitely helped a lot.
Yeah, that's funny because we always struggled getting testimonials. Like it was really hard to get like real stories from real people to share this stuff. And it's like as soon as we shut down the course, everyone comes out with a testimonial. And it's like I was like, okay, maybe that's the best way to get testimonials. But yeah, a lot of we made quite a few millionaires, I think, with our courses. Like a lot of people, like it changed their lives and it was good. Like mostly in the heydays of that business model than in the later days. But like yeah, it felt good. A few unhappy people, someone who bought from 2017 who was arguing to get a refund. Other than that,
on the flip side, like I do get where people are coming from. If you bought in January 2024, started the business model, and then a year later it shuts down, it's like I get it. Like no one wants to be the last person.
It wasn't
to start
great.
this.
And it's like, the thing is like, it's really like the situation. It happens. Like, this is online business, right? It changes all the time. And as I said, it was an eternity for this business model to last. I would not recommend anyone start a content blog today. Don't do that. Do something else, sell something, and run a real business.
Okay, so I want to get your take on whether you think we could have saved this, whether you think we could have done anything different recently or in the last couple of years that would have saved this business. But first, let's hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Digital.pr. They've just launched the world's first subscription-based digital PR service that makes premium 100% white hat link building accessible to anyone. Through a mix of reactive PR, expert commentary, and data-driven campaigns, they guarantee a minimum of 5 to 20 high-quality links from top-tier publications every quarter. And this is not some shot-in-the-dark approach. It's backed by Search Intelligence's proven track record and is made possible by the world's largest digital PR team, now accessible at the click of a button. Unlike traditional agencies that require huge retainers, Digital.pr offers transparent monthly plans starting now from just £700 per month. That means no long-term commitments and no hidden fees, just guaranteed results. So if you want to level up your link building without breaking the bank, head over to Digital.pr and join the revolution that's making premium digital PR accessible to everyone. Okay, welcome back to the episode. Gail, what are your thoughts? Could we have saved the Authority Hacker course business? Is there anything we could have done differently?
I mean, for ourselves, yes, we could. I mean, again, there are people still selling courses, teaching this stuff, and they're probably still making some money, probably less than they used to, because it's not really as popular as it used to be, but they're making money. So could we have saved it for ourselves? Yes. Could we have saved it for our souls? Maybe not. In the sense that it's like, I don't really want to sell stuff that doesn't work. It's when we saw how increasingly difficult it was getting, it was already like, there were discussions, then we decided to cut it. So yes, we could have kept making money if our morals and ethics were much lower than they are.
It's not even that like, there are currently some similar type business models which do work. It's more the fact that we don't have faith that they're going to be around long term. And we're just kicking the can down the road a bit, really.
Jared's course, right? The Amazon influencer course, which we launched, like that was kind of an attempt to give beginners something else to do instead of starting a website, which like it works. People make money from this, and it's possible. Now, is it going to last as long as like affiliate sites have lasted? I don't think so. Eventually, Amazon's going to cut the commissions, or there'll be so many people, like you'll make much less money, and so on. It's something that we said, like the windows of opportunities are getting shorter and shorter as the world is accelerating online. We like building things that last a long time and build up, like have this compound thing, which was exactly what content sites were when we started. And most of these side hustles, they're like something you pick up for like 6 months to a year, and it stops working after that. And you just jump on the next thing, and you jump on the next thing, and jump on and if people deploy that energy into building something that may be slower at the beginning, but actually can grow much larger in the end, they just end up being much richer. It almost like, at this point, I feel like you stay poor by deciding to do these tiny side hustles rather than attempting to build something bigger, basically. And
I think it's also
I want to do better. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
from our perspective, you know, with the benefit of experience, sure. But I remember, you know, in the beginning when we were getting started, the only target was like making a few $1,000s per
and it
month.
Works for that.
Didn't matter what else was going on, like what the long-term ramifications were. That it was just get to here.
But we're not these people anymore, and that's the thing. We can't really be the face of this because this is not who we are anymore. We like building more advanced things. We like to build around people. You don't spend your weekends building side hustles on the side to try to see what makes money and what doesn't make money. And I don't do that either. Like, I spend my time, I nerd on stuff, and we'll talk about what I nerd on a little bit later, but not that. And so like it would be very difficult, especially where there's like more and more content creators that give a lot of this stuff for free on YouTube to even be competitive when we're not connected to this way of thinking anymore. So I don't think it would have been a good idea. So we could have saved it. We would have done something we don't like, and we would we would have to reboot very often, basically.
Now, forgetting the affiliate side, but focusing on the course side for a minute, looking back, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions that people have about running a course business and selling courses?
I mean, they think that it's fully passive, right? They think like you just play Overwatch every day, which I play Overwatch some days, but not every day. Uh, but but the point is that first of all, customer support. There's like way more questions and issues than you may think of, and you need to address that. When you're in a tech niche, like updates, like stuff changes all the time, interfaces, whatever. And we had someone pretty much full time just updating stuff on the course. I was still not fully up to date, to be honest.
Literally, as soon as we finished, the time between finishing recording and then publishing, like guaranteed something would change, and then it would already be out of date. And while the principles largely still work, the perception among some people, if it doesn't look the same, if it does on the video, is that, oh, this is outdated already.
Yeah. And I think also the way you sell courses has changed significantly in the sense that having the best product used to be a very strong USP to actually make money and do well in this market. Whereas now it's just a game of influence, because the truth is all the information is on YouTube. Like you will find pretty much everything. And there's the amount of tutorials and content there is on YouTube around all sorts of topics now is so much higher than they used to be. That essentially, it's been like the course market has been eaten up on one side by YouTube with all the free content, and on the other side by everyone launching a course and essentially competing on price because they can't market it properly. And so like there's kind of a squeeze happening in the course market at this point where it's like it's still good a good business model, but it's significantly more difficult than it used to be. And I think let's just say that we're not launching a course anytime soon right now. And that's one of the reasons. Like a lot of people expect that we're going to announce a new course like next month or something and just kind of like pivot away from that. We're not doing that. We're not launching something new. We're taking our time. We don't have to hurry up. That's why we got rid of all our staff. And I don't think the first business you'll see coming from us will be a course next. I'm not saying never, but I'm saying not now.
It almost feels like the way people learn as well is changing. Now that people have like Notebook LM and all these tools that you just ask AI any question and it will solve it for you, whereas like you used to just have to like watch hours and hours of videos.
It's so much better now. It's like I was using Gemini 2.0 experimental with screen sharing this morning. Well, I was literally like working on some automation and sharing my screen, be like, hey, like I don't know what to do here, which field should I fill, etc. It just gives you the information as you do it. It's almost like you have someone over your shoulder. So it's like, again, the way you're gonna learn, like making pre-made videos of stuff that's going to be outdated, etc., it's going to change significantly, actually.
So, and I would also argue that this has been the case for a long time with course businesses, but the value in the course isn't necessarily just the content, it's the structure and the organization of it. Often, while you're right in that there are, like all the information you'll ever need is available on YouTube or now on AI, it's like putting that together in a structure and a way to learn isn't always so easy, especially if you kind of don't know the topic.
I think AI can do it too with deep research. Have you seen how OpenAI's deep research works? Where it's essentially taking like half an hour to read hundreds of pages and give you a full report. If you're like, hey, I want to learn Python, make sure you link resources for each step, like videos, etc. It would probably do it. It wouldn't be like as connected, but it would probably do something that's like 60%, 65% of the value for $1.
So that goes back to the argument you were saying before. It's not so much the value of the content, but it's like the power of the influence, the person who has that audience. And I think there's this feeling sometimes that influencers kind of cash in on their audience
100%.
by making a course, right? And I think one thing is we've been very careful not to make like a shitty course. It's sometimes difficult to see from the other end, but like the amount of effort we put in over the years and in just the little details in our courses has been like quite a burden. But I don't feel like we've been in that position where we're kind of like making a shitty course just to make some money off the audience. Like it really was our business is making good courses.
Yeah, and it was appreciated when we launched, but as time passed and as people started buying differently, it was less appreciated. It was very much about like how much influence do you have in the industry in terms of sales rather than like the quality of the course. Like again, I'm not going to name competitors, but I've gone through all their courses. And there's a lot of competitors who would, let's say, match us in sales, but the quality was significantly lower. And it's like, and it would not be rewarded nearly as much. So it's quite interesting. Like if you're interested in launching a course business, like it's basically just a marketing game at this point. The course is almost irrelevant. And the truth is, most people who buy courses don't even go through it, right? So you could literally just...
a significant percentage, something like 30-40% of people that buy a course, like they'll open it once and then never go through it again. It's kind of like when you want to learn golf, you buy golf clubs, but it doesn't make you a good golfer. It just like, it feels like you're kind of taking action.
Yeah,
so that distorts the market a bit.
I thought of like a social experiment that I wanted to do. I never did it. I probably won't do it, but it would be a fun one, where you essentially sell a course and you record the first 3 videos and then the other pages are completely empty. And then you see how many people actually realize that and actually ask for a refund. I think it would be not as high as most people think.
Yeah. So is there anything about the course business that we're going to miss?
No, and I'm not even saying we won't go back to it, to be honest. It's like maybe one day, but the thing as well is I will not make a course on something I haven't done extensively. We didn't make a course on authority sites until several years in of running sites ourselves. I would not imagine myself releasing a course anytime soon because I don't feel even qualified for releasing something that would make a difference compared to what you can find out there. And if you can't, then there's no point releasing a product, I think.
I'll tell you, that's how I feel. One thing I'm not going to miss is the actual recording schedule, especially when we were putting together like a big course of like 100 videos or something. It really is just like 6 months of your life. It's a constant grind to get it done, and then questioning yourself all the time. And it's just like, it's pretty miserable.
And then one day
towards the end.
Yeah, one day you misrecorded or like you didn't record on the right mic or something and you have to redo the same day the next day. And you guys don't see, but we actually have these lights like in our face right now so we don't look too bad. And it's like having these lights in your face for like 6-7 hours is extremely tiring.
With the blinds closed, it's dark outside. Yeah.
It's a bit of a shitty life. I mean, in Scotland it doesn't change anything, but where I live, it does.
What do you think of the SEO industry right now? Is it dead? Is it just this corner of it that's doesn't work? Or like, tell me your thoughts. Like now that the gloves are off, like we're out of that. Give me your true opinion.
Okay, true opinion, really true opinion is like, I mean, I think for real businesses, SEO is still a thing. Anyone who worked as an agency, anyone who has been consulting for people, etc., this is all still fine. And big companies will still fight for traffic from Google. It's still by far the biggest traffic referral on the internet. Even if you cut it in half, it's still the biggest one. Like there is value for these people. But there's a part of the industry that's becoming a scam. Let's be honest. Like people who insist on the fact that you can essentially create blog content. And it's like, it's so funny, right? It's like there's all these crazy AI tools that come out, and I see all these SEO people, all they're obsessed with is creating shitty blog posts with it when you can just do so much more with it. This part is, it's like, I cannot caution it anymore. I could not tell people to still do that. It's like, don't start a blog, don't start anything like that is being told. Well, your website is almost not relevant.
Just to interject there. So you said, don't start a blog. Is that true for like someone who's starting a blog, or what about a existing business, like a big business that's like, hey, like we want to capture some SEO traffic here? I mean, they can still do it.
This depends who you're asking to, right? So like, for example, if you ask HubSpot, they've lost 80% of their traffic. It's not like HubSpot is a small website. Like I'm not even sure their SEO effort is ROI positive anymore. It might be, but they've lost a lot of traffic and people talk about that. Then on the other hand, you have Ahrefs, right? That like, I think a year or two ago, lost 40% of their traffic in a core update, which happens even to big businesses, but they recovered it. They actually managed to come back and they're about the same level where they were before they dropped. So you could argue that, and I think the way they write their blog is very product centric, like their product is here in every blog post. So it's very valuable for their sales, I think. So it's like, yes, you can do it, but it's so much more difficult than it was. It's going to take more resources. So if you were already thinly profitable running a blog before, I think going forward you won't be. There's just less traffic coming from Google. They're starting to do a deep search AI overviews now, where they essentially take the entire page as an AI overview, and then below a whole page there is maybe a few organic results on the right of it. So it's like, it really depends. If you were making a ton of money blogging, yeah, keep going. You'll probably be okay. This is just not how people consume that much content anymore. They might happen to stumble onto your blog through a Google search, which still happens. But I'm not bullish on the format. I don't think people crave blog posts unless they have incredible unique data and research, maybe. And even then, they probably rather watch a video.
And last question on SEO. Do you think that the current amount of traffic that Google sends to websites, do you think Google will ever send more than that, or it will just perpetually get less and less and less?
Google's main competitor is now ChatGPT. ChatGPT just entered top 10 websites in the world in terms of traffic. I think they're like 7 now. It's really climbing a lot. And if you go on ChatGPT without logging in, now you have search built in. You have the autocomplete like Google has when you start typing. It's clear. ChatGPT is a Google competitor at this point. And they're gaining ground. Google is losing ground, not too much, but they're losing some, and they're gaining ground fast. So who is Google going to model after? ChatGPT, right? The same way as like every social network modeled after TikTok when TikTok became big. And if they do that, that's a model where they're going to send less traffic over time. There's just going to be less clicks and more answers on Google. There's already a lot, but we're not going down. We're like, there's more and more and more coming from where it came from. So yeah, ChatGPT is the TikTok of search, and search engines are going to ChatGPTify themselves to stay competitive.
Do you think that's still the case with, for example, like local SEO?
ChatGPT also has local SEO built in. Actually, they have local results. If you type like good restaurants near me, or if you give a location, it will give you a map result, and it will give you a list like similar to the local pack that you would get on Google and so on. So they're going after that too. Now, are people going to use that? I don't know. Google Maps is still pretty well anchored. And to compete with Google Maps, it would require essentially crawling the real world. And I'm not sure ChatGPT can do that. So I think that's one that's probably going to be a bit more protected, and people's habits will probably still revolve around Google. But they're going after that too for normal search. So potentially some of it will be disrupted. But
let's talk about what's next.
All right.
What is next, Gil?
I mean, mostly we want to focus on AI and automation for marketers and entrepreneurs. The marketer entrepreneur, that's who we are. AI and automation, what we're interested in. It's like, I know it sounds cliche, like everyone's going into AI right now, and people would probably give us shit for picking this direction. But I'm genuinely excited about this stuff. I mean, you can ask Mark. I'm just nonstop building stuff right now, and it's just really fun. It feels like SEO in the early days where there's, one thing that I'm good at is finding kind of like cool hacks and way to plug things together in ways people didn't think about. And that used to be something you could do a lot in SEO back in the day when it was a little bit more open, let's say. But there's not much of this left now. SEO is very much an SOP, like follow the SOP type thing, and then just repeat the process 1,000 times manually most of the time. Automation in businesses feels quite different in the sense that, yeah, you get rewarded for knowing all these little hacks and little things and being able to implement them and do that. So the goal is basically to improve the productivity and automate work for marketers and small businesses that don't code. Because I think there's a lot of like coding, there's kind of like the coding side of AI, and we want to be the non-coding side of AI. We want to talk to founders, we want to talk to marketers and that kind of stuff.
I think this is kind of like almost like the great equalizer effect here, is that non-developers, non-software engineers are finally able to start building stuff.
Yep.
Which is not identical yet, but like very similar or close, let's say, to what a developer could do in a fraction of the time with no experience. And it's just really exciting. Like, this seems like there's a lot of opportunity here right now, and it's very much untapped.
It feels like the early days of SEO, right? Google kind of like took over, and then everyone needed a website, right? And then it's like we're kind of at this point where AI is slowly taking over. I don't think it's going to replace all humans tomorrow, etc. Like, I don't want to hype it. I want to talk about what works today. But a lot of like repetitive, boring tasks can today be automated by AI and save a ton of time so the humans can actually do the stuff that humans are actually good at. And so, yeah, we're in this world where everyone's going to have to implement that in their business. Everyone needs to automate, because otherwise their competitors are going to do it. They're going to become cheaper in terms of producing the service or whatever they offer. And as a result, they'll be able to compete in price or buy more ads and essentially just, overtake you. So everyone has to do that and figure it out.
This isn't just online businesses, websites, people that used to do SEO. It's literally every business in the world. Our accountant, the gym I go to, like, they're talking about how they can use AI to do stuff in their business. It's just very, it feels where the wind is blowing right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it does take quite a bit of work to stay on top of this stuff and knowing how to implement the more advanced ways like automations and so on behind that. And so There's an AI chatbot in make.com, for example, right? You can talk to make.com. It will build the skeleton of an automation and you connect your stuff. But the thing is, it doesn't go all the way. And most importantly, would a business trust this to implement like a very crucial part of their business that could, if it breaks, could cost them a lot of money? Like, would they trust a chatbot on the sidebar for it? I think there would be a little bit of human help needed here, and people will still rely on people who know to essentially help them do this stuff. And so, like, I'm not even sure how we're going to make money, to be honest.
Are you worried that we don't have a plan to monetize yet?
No, I'm okay, actually. I mean, it's like we literally just came back from our break like a week ago or something. It's like we're just starting. And what I see is like we're using our network, talking internally to a lot of people, and everyone's super excited for this and wants some help. I'm already helping a bunch of businesses automate a lot of stuff, and I'm not worried that once they see the value, like there will be a way to monetize this. I don't know how we're gonna do this, but I don't care right now. I care about actually finding ways to help people. Actually, I have that framework in my head of how we're gonna go about this, which is step one, help one business with a problem. Let's say, for example, we're helping marketing pros right now with the recruitment agency that we're working with, automate a bunch of processes. In this case, I help them write the job specs and the job ads automatically, and we're gonna do some candidate filtering through AI as well. But the point is, like, I figured this out for one business. Then I can essentially just take my template and sell it to like 100 businesses, which you can do that through cold outreach, ads, whatever. It's not super hard. And if you manage to sell that to 100 businesses, then you can consider making a SaaS out of it. And then essentially you prove your market step by step by first making a shitty make.com automation, then duplicating that and finding all the use cases and all the variations within an industry while monetizing already. And then once you actually see traction in demand, then you productize it in DIY thing, you know?
All the while as we're doing that, that is content for us, for Authority Hacker, right?
And that's the thing. Like, we're not going to make a course, but we're still going to make content. So my expectation is to just give away everything for free. I know there's a lot of content around that stuff, around automations and so on, like, but I'm not sure I like all of it, to be honest.
Sometimes it can be a bit surface level, like, oh, this new feature just came out, here's me playing with it for 5 seconds, and you know, it doesn't really show you how to like build something with it in detail, or
so it doesn't show you the results.
Can be a bit like developer focused, like, oh, you know, this has more tokens than this, and like that's okay, great, but what does that mean for me as a business owner?
I also think like a lot of the people who do that kind of content, they're kind of green in the sense like we're lucky that we have been running a business for a while and we've seen what works and what doesn't. And, you know, you see these crazy like N8N automations with like 1 million nodes everywhere. It goes in all directions and so on, which it looks cool, but I guarantee you most people don't use this in production. The science of automation is to make all these tiny things that like automate these very boring tasks. Like if you don't put a human in loop, the AI does everything, you end up with pretty low quality results. That's not how most businesses automate stuff.
In a way, this is not a million miles away from creating a course, right? Because I'm not saying we create a course, but the process of creating courses within SEO, it's like you have to learn exactly how a process works and really distill it down into a step-by-step format and question all of the steps as you're going through that before you then make the video and present it. So it feels like there's a kind of like similar trait almost on how you teach stuff.
There's that, but there's also the fact that we've been doing a lot of that stuff through like email marketing, for example, like Active Campaign. I've built like crazy automations.
Let's get on, like, tell everyone what the hell makes us qualified to talk about AI, to teach this stuff, to make content on it.
Automation I've been doing for a long time through Authority Hacker. Like the course business was running with, we had 7 people, including us, right? And was making multiple millions per year at the peak, basically. And so like, that's pretty good. Like consider like I've been talking to people who are making about the same amount of money that we're making with 90 staff or something. And so like this is significantly more efficient. And so we've been very, very lean. Every time we went to conferences, people were like, holy shit, how do you have so few people and get so much done, basically? And that is through us setting up automation processes and so on. Yeah, we've been doing this for a while. And then the same mechanics applied to like email marketing. For example, email marketing automation is a thing for a very long time. Building all these branches, this if this, then that, it's all the same stuff. It works the same way. And it's like I'm right at home working on this stuff all day right now. And I really enjoy it, actually.
Can you give us some examples of AI or automation that we've used in Authority Hacker that maybe people don't know about?
Yeah. So for example, like we were tracking every link click for a long time, and we had it kind of like tagged you automatically based on the topics you were interested in. So we had like micro lists of interests. I could tell exactly who's interested in link building, who's interested in like affiliate, who's interested in like hosting, all of that. And so what that allows you to do is like, let's say SiteGround pings you and is like, hey, I want to promote my new, my promo for the hosting. You'll be like, well, I have this micro list within my list of like 10,000 people who have interest in hosting and WordPress. And I can email just these people, and then automatically I'll be able to do that. So it's like we build that kind of stuff automatically. We would be able to also say, you visit this page on the website, so trigger this automation, and it's like you'd get a different marketing campaign. We'd do that as well if you click on some links. So for example, what I would do is like I would email a piece of content. Let's say I email you a podcast about link building. And if you click on the link to watch the podcast, so I know that you've expressed interest by reading the email, opening it, reading it, and clicking, then you'd get a follow-up email that would actually sell you something related to link building because you've qualified yourself. So it's like we build this kind of like tiny, like it's not AI, but it's automation. And then you just plug AI nodes in there. But it's kind of the same thing.
There's a lot of stuff as well around things like dunning and billing and, failed billing process that we did. It's super boring, honestly. And like a lot of people, unless you run a business that makes
boring
money
unless
that
you
way.
make the money, right?
Exactly. It's like, oh, whatever, how does this get me traffic? But actually, like, these are the things which really significantly move the needle.
Like,
in
you
terms
made
of
extra
revenue.
10 grand this month because you have the dunning set up properly. Now I'm excited for it. And so we do a lot of that stuff for a long time, and I love it. I'm really excited to do more.
And specifically in terms of AI, like, again, what makes us qualified to talk about that?
Because I'm a fucking huge nerd.
Literally, like, it's like Saturday morning at 7 a.m. and he's like, oh, check out this new model.
In Thailand.
Check out this new model. Like, I'm literally getting out of this swimming pool and like checking my phone, and there's a message from Gail. He's sitting in the room. And he's like, oh, yeah, I just figured out this new automation process. Check out this new token limit of whatever. It's like, I'm sitting there with my wife and Gail's wife thinking, why is Gail never coming outside during this trip?
If you check our early podcasts, we're like, it's not so good, like AI content's on. And I would still argue that like writing a perfectly AI optimized blog post that actually is not shit with one prompt is still challenging. But if that's not what you're trying to achieve, if you're trying to just send customer support emails, if you are trying to write
prepare this
ad
podcast,
copy,
for example,
podcast, then it's pretty good.
As an assistant to help you do stuff, even get you, 80-90% of the way there, it's so much more achievable than expecting it to do 100% of the of work perfectly. So it's kind of like
I think that's where the automation influencers fail a bit, because like, for example, practical example, you get two types of automations that get lots of views on YouTube. That's like automate your blog and automate your social media, like fully. Like, it's going to automatically find the topics and write about them and generate an image and post, etc. Great. How many of these accounts do I see on my social media feed when I open LinkedIn, when I open Instagram, etc.? Not many. Like, there are AI content-driven accounts, but they are carefully curated by a human that removed all the shit and fixed it and everything. And so, like, I'm not saying there's no AI content on social media. There's a lot. But like the fully automated thing that just spits out random shit and then you fully automate it, that's not really how the world works at this point. And that's why I think there's a disconnect between the automation content that you find online and the automation content that actually can help you get results, because you still need some kind of humans on the loop. But as you said, as an assistant, as someone who prepares everything, it's great.
So Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, has said that software is eating the world, but AI is going to eat software. So isn't there a chance that AI eats everything, including us or whatever we build next?
Yes, there is a very serious chance that AI eats.
So are we basically in a race to like do something before that happens, or is it still not certain that is going to happen?
Here's the thing. I think, look, you already have this magical machine called ChatGPT where you can put a prompt and you can get a piece of working software in a single prompt now with these O3 mini models, etc. How many people that are not huge nerds like me do this? Almost nobody. Even though it's accessible from the free plan, right? And so I think while AI is going to have these incredible capabilities, a lot of people will still need someone to show them or tell them what to do, how to do it, because it's almost like we have access to infinite knowledge, but you need to come up with the right question, and now that's the challenge. And most people can't, for the love of God, come up with the right questions to ask AI to actually help themselves. And so I think there will be still a place for humans. While AI will do most of the work, we just need to think of the right question. There will still be a place for humans for a long time to show people what the right questions are.
So it's I think you've said this before, it's like having a calculator. People still do math, and it's not like computers do all math. Like there's still people, they're doing the very like top end of stuff.
And AI is like a calculator in the sense that, you know, if you're an idiot with a calculator, you can add up numbers and then you can't really go much further. If you're like a genius with a calculator, you can solve the universe. Like you can literally just solve everything and answer a ton of life's questions and solve so many problems, etc. But it takes to know what to input in it and to ask the right questions. And AI will bridge that gap to some extent. Now, a lot of these models, they take your prompt and the reasoning is basically them improving your prompt and figuring out different angles of that. So it is bridging that gap to some extent. But if the basic idea is not there, you're not going to get much out of these models. And that's where a lot of people can still step in and help people implement this stuff, because honestly, I've seen the prompts of small business owners as I've started working with them recently, and there's a lot of work to do, and they don't even understand what it can do, so it's very hard for them to even ask the right
Also,
question.
interestingly, a lot of other challenges besides just the AI component and like getting all your systems and data structured and organized in a way that you can actually do stuff with, right?
If you were a Platinum member, like you know that I'm a huge Notion nerd as well, and I like it a lot, and it's really powerful. But yeah, I stepped into Marketing Pro the other day, and I'm like, okay, well, I built this crazy automation. It's really cool. Like it's going to output, as I said, the job ads and the job specs and everything just based on your call transcript. It's going to grab them automatically. You have nothing to do. I want to also create a task so that you get to review the job specs so then before it goes live. So that, again, we put a human in the loop to check it. It saves them a bunch of time. I'm like, okay, what task system do you use and how can I plug into this? And they're like, we don't have a task system. And I'm like, what? How do you know what people are doing? It's like, I ask them on Slack. And it's like, that's pretty much how many companies work. And this AI system will not be able to help you if you're not able to structure your work and your data into something that it can read easily and structure easily. I expect it will help you structure things eventually. Like Slack will eventually be like, hey, I updated Notion based on your discussion, whatever. But there's a lot of work in helping people do that. And I almost feel like we actually need to make an episode about Notion. Like since now we're in this niche at this point, we might as well, because
it's pretty mind-blowing what you can do with it. I think the problem Notion has is it's so much of a sandbox.
It's a sandbox, yeah.
That the only way people kind of understand what it is by watching a few YouTube videos, and it's usually just like a simple task management system. But there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah, it's basically a canvas for entrepreneurship. That's how I explained it to a friend of ours this weekend. And it's mandatory for you to learn this or like Airtable or something like this if you're interested in automating your business. Because you need somewhere to input data and you need somewhere to output data. And that's what Notion acts as within your interface. It takes the data, it's transformed by an LLM, it's spitted out into another page on Notion or into a property or something like this. And you can work on it. And that's what I really like. It's like, let's say the job spec comes out on Notion, then they can use Notion AI to just select a paragraph and just have it change that part or something. It's a really, really easy workflow and work process. So yeah, AI is going to eat everything, but people can't even have task systems at this point, and I need help even doing that. So it will kill us one day, but it's going to take a while.
Okay, I mean, that's maybe a good transition into the next part about future episodes and the content on this podcast. Okay. What should people listening now expect from us in the future? And I mean, if you're following us for the affiliate site stuff, should you unsubscribe?
Yes. Just unsubscribe if you only care about the affiliate stuff. We're not going to do this anymore. It's over for me personally. I'm way over it. And I'm happy about it. I'm sure people can see on this episode I'm actually happy about it. But if you're running a business in any aspect, and if you're interested in automating it, and us sharing real-life experiences of how we're doing it. One thing that's changed is like we were not building sites for a while, but we're actually doing that stuff, the automation stuff. actively right now. Like I was building an automation before this podcast for a friend of ours. I just got a message from her. I need to reply to her actually. And so we're doing that stuff. We want to share like from the trenches, like what we found, etc. So if AI and automation interest you, stay connected. The next episode I think will be, I've tested like pretty much all the available LLMs at this point, all the available big ones, not I haven't been to Mistral or anything yet, for a lot of like business and automation tasks. And so we're going to do a bit of a tier list for it, like S tier to F tier, basically, and tell you what they're good at, when you should use a reasoning model, which reasoning model is better, the price as well. Like nobody talks about the price of APIs, but it varies greatly, sometimes 100x difference. And we'll tell you how we used it and how you can use it, basically. So that's the next episode. We should definitely do an episode on Notion. And we're going to bring people in as well that essentially have automated part of their business and talk about that. I'm talking to a few guests already.
And so I think there's still like going to be quite a strong marketing kind of undertone to all this, right? So it's not like we're going full tech nerdy on this side of things. It's like it's how to practically implement this and grow your business.
Yeah, for business. So for example, like the automation I was working on this morning was actually taking new blog post URLs because this person advertises her blog post on Google Ads, and then essentially go in GSC and get all the keyword data for that URL, and then write an ad with AI using the keywords and using the content of the page, and actually automatically upload and run an ad on Google Ads for that page, just by updating a spreadsheet. That's a marketing workflow, basically. That's something like it works for...
Hugely valuable one as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, I'm 90% there. I just need the Google Ads API is a bit of a pain in the ass. But other than that, it's like it's almost built, actually. And so that's the kind of workflows that we want to talk about, and the results and how it changed the businesses, talk to people who've done it, talk about what we're working on, talk about the tools we're using. That's what's coming up.
And I guess we're somewhat fortunate in that the name Authority Hacker is, it can mean several things, and we didn't sort of pigeonhole ourselves by having the word affiliate or SEO or anything like that in the title. But serious question: do you think Authority Hacker as a brand will exist in a year from now?
It's hard to tell, to be honest. It's like I had this discussion with myself, or with ChatGPT even.
It's so funny, Gil, because like the way you say it in English, like we had this discussion with Mark, is what you said when you're talking about us. So Mark and I had this discussion. It's a little bit like a little bit clunky
like another
the way.
Mark,
So, but when you say it now, I had this discussion with myself. I instantly thought, oh, your English is off, and then oh no, he's actually talking about just speaking to himself in AI.
Yeah, it's kind of like I have a reasoning model in my head that's just like thinking before it actually outputs, and therefore I have a discussion with myself. But anyway, I'm not sure. I think it should stay. I think it still works for this angle. And it's very much going to be marketing driven. Like that's what we do still, like product. But like it's not just going to be like ranking Google and banking from the clicks. It's going to be broader marketing. Like the marketing we were doing for the courses for Authority Hacker was like we could be talking about tuning. We could be talking about checkouts. We could be talking about like product launches, and we've talked a bit about WordPress versus Webflow, and I got a little bit of a heated debate in the comments last episode. So like we're gonna broaden up a little bit.
And to be fair, if you go back and look at the early content on Authority Hacker from circa 2014, 2015, it was much broader than what we eventually became known for, which from sort of 2016, 17 onwards, which was the affiliate marketing SEO.
Yeah, so it's like that's what we're gonna do. It's still gonna be that, but I guarantee you the examples that we're gonna give are not just gonna be about writing SEO articles. That's like we're looking at real business processes, and we're looking to attract people who run real businesses at this point. We're kind of like done with the side hustle part of ourselves, at least for now.
All right, so to bring it back to this big decision that we made to kind of stop what we were doing and do something else. What would you tell someone who's currently in that situation? Maybe they've been working in a business for a number of years and it's not going so well. Like, it takes a lot of, I don't want to say like courage, but like...
you want to throw yourself flowers.
No, I mean, that's why I don't want to say it. But like, it is a big decision to do something like that. And it's not without risk. So what do you say to someone who's currently pondering this?
I think it depends on your individual situation, right? Like how much money are you still making from this? Like if you're still profitable and it's still kind of working for you, even though if it went down, ask yourself like, where would I be 1 year from now if I stopped everything and did something else? And often the answer will be worse than now. And maybe that means it's not necessarily the time to jump off completely or stop it the same way we did it. For us, there was moral implications in the sense that we did not believe in the product anymore. But that probably doesn't affect too many people unless you're also selling a course on starting blogs, basically. And so like maybe that time to jump is a bit later, but it's important to understand that we're in a moment right now where chatbots are going to be eating into search traffic to some extent. Search traffic is still going to exist. We're going to live in a hybrid world for a very, very long time. And so you cannot count on the traffic you had 3 years ago to ever come back. If you've lost a bunch of traffic, it's probably not coming back as search engines are going to be chatbotified, basically.
I think it's quite telling that the people that we've told about this, like our friends and sort of people close to us, when we said what we did, like a significant number of people have also a week or two later then made, maybe not at the same scale, but like big decisions to like cut parts of their company or close things down or, you know, change the team or whatever. And I think sometimes just seeing people make a big decision and like, okay, you know, it's going to be painful and I'm going to have to endure some short, medium term pain, but like it's going to be worth it in the end. I will say that like, even though the past week, like my day-to-day life is like so much better, like being able to actually like work on things that I think matter rather than just, you know, like keeping everything afloat, as it were.
Yeah, it's we're a bunch of lemmings, right? We're just doing population control and jumping off the cliff. But it depends, right? But I mean, for me, I'm excited. I'm doing something I'm having fun with. Finally, it's been a while, and yeah, I'm looking forward to just do more. I'm really down this rabbit hole. Like, I definitely want to do more content as well. I want to be more active on social and stuff. Like, since we're not gonna do course content, I want to find another way to create content. But I don't even think I want to charge for it. I just like whatever we launch next, that's going to basically be marketing for it.
We're even talking about increasing the frequency of the podcast again.
Not right now.
Back to weekly, but yeah, watch this space.
Yeah, and also like we're changing. You'll see this podcast is going to be edited by me. It's going to be a bit rough. Let's just say that. But the point is that we want to do rough podcasts that we can release really quickly. So let's say a new tool comes out, etc. We can test it quickly. Have an episode like the day after, and then
today, for example, like we're hoping to get this out in the next 24 hours. Whereas before it was always before it was like sometimes a week from recording until it was released. So, you know, new stuff had happened.
So we're changing a lot of stuff, but it should be fun.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening, and hope to see you again in 2 weeks for the next episode, where we are going to be talking about all of the different AI models that are currently out there and how we use them, how much they cost. Like,
and do a tier list. No, we're going to do a tier list. We're going to do which one you should use, which one you should absolutely avoid, and then we're going to show some use cases of how we use them.
Exactly, from a marketing perspective, so not from like a development perspective.
All right, so if you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. Remember, we now have shorts that are actually active, so if you go on YouTube, on Instagram, or TikTok, you can find the shorts from this podcast if you don't have time to listen to everything, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.